Hello, 3302 folks. This is Dr. Ryan. I have to do full confession. I have never made a video for an online class before, and I definitely wasn't prepared to do it today, so it feels a little awkward. I hope it's helpful. The reason that I thought I would make this recording today is because I know many of you in the online sections of 3302 are a little bit confused about some of the practicum assignments, specifically the assessment assignment that which the due date is coming up. It's different for different sections, but I know that it's soon. I wanted to take a moment to sort of walk you through where you can find the information you need to complete this assignment successfully. I know that you have all the information, but I know also that it might be a little bit overwhelming, especially as the practicum placements have changed, the deadlines have been pushed back. I think people are just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And it's a lot of work, but there's really no need to feel that overwhelmed. So I just wanted to help us sort of walk through the information piece by piece so that we can be sure that we understand what to do. So again, I apologize for the quality of the video. If I make some blunders, we're just going to keep going. I just hope that it's helpful. So I have some notes about things that I want to make sure I communicate to you. The first thing that you need to know for sure is that there are 3 practicum assignments, okay? So your 10 hours of practicum, 8 to 10 is okay, but your 8 to 10 hours of practicum will be spent doing 3 different assignments. One is the assessment project that's due very soon. We've talked a lot about assessment in Module 2. We've done a lot of practice of the tools in Module 2, like with Catherine, the PowerPoint and website you used, and Catherine read aloud about her trip to the zoo, and you practiced scoring her, and you looked at someone else's scores. So you should feel comfortable with that. In Module 3, you may have seen already, or you may be working on in the next few days, an interactive read aloud, right? And an interactive read aloud, I'm not going to go into too much depth now. I might do a future video later, but that will connect with Module 3. That will be the first practicum assignment after assessment. And it's a chance for you to read a book aloud with students in ways that help them understand the use of a particular comprehension strategy. In the Module 3 commentary, there's a list of particular strategies in the voice thread that Ms. Tanya Cannon created. There's also that list of those strategies is right above the link for the voice thread in the commentary file. It's things like, I think if I remember correctly, questioning, predicting, synthesizing, those kinds of strategies. So you will read aloud a book. I don't know if you guys know this book. See, that's the blunder I made. This book by David Wiesner. If you assess your students and you realize that you want them to practice questioning strategies, right? Because good readers ask questions of the text that they read. So you might want to pick a book where you think it would be really productive for a lot of questions. Students might have a lot of questions. And this book is a great book for lots of questions. So you will do the reading because in an interactive read aloud, the teacher still has the responsibility for most of the work, right? You're not releasing too much work yet to the students. And this is all in the template, the assignment template. So look in Module 3. But just to give you a sense, you'll do the thinking aloud, right? So you'll say, okay, today we're going to talk about questioning because questioning is a strategy good readers use. So, let's think, for instance, if I'm reading this book to you, I'm wondering what questions I have about it. And I realize as a reader, I already have some questions. I'm wondering if this time is important. Wonder why, this is hard to do in the video, why that seems to be the only light that's on. I wonder if that's important. I see something floating here. I don't know what that is. So these are questions I have already before I even start reading, right? So then you start reading, and you read, Tuesday evening around 8, and you would say, I wonder if that's an important time, and I wonder why the picture is broken up into 3. It's interesting. And then you get to this page, and suddenly you have lots of questions, right? So again, I would still be modeling, wow, as a reader, I have a lot of questions here. I mean, how are the frogs flying? Where are they going? Are they magic frogs? What is this? Whoops. You don't have to do it on a video, so you're lucky. What is this turtle thinking? This seems strange. Have they done this before? Is this normal for them? Oh, it can't be real. I have a lot of questions. Right, so you keep reading, modeling your questions in your think aloud. Eventually you can ask them to start helping you do that and give them some guided practice. That's the kind of thing you'll do in your interactive reading lesson. That was a little bit of a sidetrack. Before we do that, that's in Module 3. That'll be the next thing. But before you do that, you should assess your students, right? Because we don't know, how do I know what kind of book to read with them, and how do I know what strategies they need help with if I don't know what they know how to do and what they need help with, right? So we really need to figure out what strategies students need, which means we have to assess them. Excuse me. Okay. So, have I confused you yet? I hope this is helping and not making it worse. 3 practicum assignments. The first one is assessment. The second one is interactive read aloud. The third one is a guided reading lesson. In the assessment project, there are 3 parts, which I think is a little confusing. 3 projects. In the first one, the assessment project, there are 3 parts. For the assessment project, as you see in the template, you should observe students, you should do an interest interview, and you should do a QRI-5. The observation should be of the small group of students that you'll work with for the whole set of projects. The interview should be of 2 specific students. And the QRI-5 should be given to 1 student. Okay? Small groups for the observation and the other 2 assignments. At least 2 students for the interview and 1 student for the QRI-5. Okay? The observation of students, you should have a file. I know my sections do, and I think the other instructors have sent it along, that gives some suggestions of what to observe and how to observe. When you observe students, you might want to observe things like, how does the student pick up books? What text does the student choose? If the child has choice, where does the child choose to sit to read? Are they lounging on beanbags on the floor? Or is everybody sitting in rows up straight, right? What's the reading environment like? Do they purposely choose the same books as their friends? Are they talking to their friends? Hey, look at this. You haven't seen this picture of this volcano. It's amazing. Right? What are they doing about their reading? How are they talking about their reading? Is it important what other people are doing with their reading? Are they attentive to those things? Are they maybe reading but not paying that much attention? Are they like, yeah, reading, this book is good, right? So notice what they're doing. That's what you observe. How you observe is also really important. And you'll see on that file, there's a picture of a person in a cap and gown and a woman with him. And I want us to really use that picture as an exercise to think about what is it that we really see. Not what we assume, not what story we fill in, but what do we see? What is actually in front of us? Sometimes when we observe students, we end up saying things like, he was a good reader. How did you know? This is not a value judgment. We're trying to see what it is that we're watching. Instead of, if the child is doing this, instead of saying, he never paid attention, or she was so far behind. That doesn't really help us get to what the child knows. We want to say what we saw. So maybe a way to describe that would be something like, the child flipped pages randomly and did a lot of staring off into space, right? That's what you saw. It's not what meaning you made from it, it's what you saw. That will help us not jump to conclusions about students. It'll help us really think about what we're seeing, and it'll help us connect that to skills and information that we need to teach, rather than sort of a story about a child that may or may not be accurate, because we're just watching them for a little bit of time. So we can learn some things, but we're not going to understand every single part of the child. That's why we do these other parts of the assessment as well. Again, it'll walk you through that in that file. That's the observation. Okay. The interest interview, we've read a lot in chapter 2 here of the reading turnaround, right? You'll remember that we talked a lot about the importance of knowing our readers and our students as readers. There's that story about Kyle, and he was drawing all these like violent images, and finally the teacher just asked him, Kyle, What are you drawing? Tell me about those. And he went into this whole thing and was able to make all these connections and really improve his literacy, right? So our students know a lot. We don't have to just guess. We can ask them. So that's your chance to do this in the interview. There's a template for the interview questions, and you'll just give those questions, you'll out loud ask students those questions, and you'll write down their answers, right? Have a conversation. Don't make it robotic. Try to get to know them, okay? So that's the observation and the interest interview. Cool? Those are the first two parts. So you're 2/3 of the way there. Good job. Okay, the third part of the assessment project is the QRI-5. And you should all, I have stickers on mine, but you should all know this book by now. Here's the secret. Everything you need to do this assessment tool with a child is in this book. I know it feels overwhelming, but everything you need is here. The word lists that you need are here. The passages that you need are here. The scoring sheets that you need are here. You can either copy them or, remember, the book comes with a DVD, so you can just print them off. Everything you need is here. On page 99, we can use our informational text features like the table of contents or the index to find what we need. Remember, if you're going to be teaching kids to do it, you should be doing it too. On page 99, there we go, is this whole list of test materials. Sorry if it's crooked. So all of the word lists are here, and then all of the passages are explained, right? So everything you need you can find here. All right, let me check my notes. Okay, so when you give a QRI to a student, QRI-5 assessment to a student, you start with the, I hope you said word lists. Okay, we're gonna make it like Dora the Explorer. You fill in. You start with word lists. The whole point of this assessment, and of almost any assessment, right, is trying to find out what students know. So you're trying to narrow in on their knowledge and on their skills. We could just guess randomly, right? We could say, okay, you're a 5th grader. Maybe you read at a 5th grade level. They might, but they might not, right? Maybe the child just moved to this country. Maybe the child has a severe learning disability. Maybe the child is a genius and is already in medical school. I mean, we don't know, right? Probably not, but we don't know. So a word list is a quicker way to sort of start to narrow down. We give a word list starting not with the grade that the child is in, but this is where you fill in 2 grades behind. Okay, so again, let's take our 5th grade, our imaginary 5th grade student. If you are working with a 5th grade student, you start with a 3rd grade word list. Okay? Chances are that that will be enough to catch the student's level, right? Because we're trying to find their instructional level. That's the point of this narrowing down, is to find their instructional level. We also can find their independent level and their frustration level, but what we really want is their instructional level, because we're going to be giving instruction, so we should know what that should look like. Okay, so you start with the 3rd grade word list, and let's assume this 5th grade student does great. All the words, you score it right, and they get all the words, or they only make one mistake, whatever, and you find out that, and the percentage-wise, right? Let's look at this. Give an example. Okay, we started with the 3. Sorry, give me 1 second to find this. I see the passages. Here are the word lists. Okay, so you have this list, right? They have the student list, and you have this page, examiner word list, and there's a 3rd grade word list. And then down here is the scoring box, right? I know it's crooked, but you all will be okay. You do the numbers there to see how many out of 20 they got correct. And if that falls into the 90 to 100% level, you know that's an independent level. If it is, that means it was easy for the student, right? They don't need your instruction with that level. They've got it on their own. They can be independent at that level. That's good to know, but it doesn't help us find their instruction. It doesn't answer what their instructional level is. It answers what their independent level is. So, all right, 3rd grade, this 5th grader can do the 3rd grade list really well on his own. So what do? we go to the next level, okay? So you would give them the 4th grade list. You would ask them to read the 4th grade words, the level 4 words, rather. It doesn't say grade. And let's say, did great. Again, independent, like, sure, I can do this. Maybe made a mistake or two, but still falling into that range. What do? Go to the next level, okay? So student gets the 5th grade words. Again, same thing, just ask your student to do the best they can, read the words down the list, you score, 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 score. And this one they have a little more trouble with, right? So you do the math and you realize that they got, say, a 76%. That's an instructional level, right? In the word lists, the instructional level is between 70 and 85%, and it says that on the scoring sheet. Okay? So now we know 3rd grade words, independent. 4th grade words, independent. 5th grade words, instructional, right? If we wanted, we could see if 6th grade words maybe also are instructional, because instructional is a range. So it could be that. That could be true. For this particular assessment, you could do that. You don't have to. Okay. If you were their full-time teacher, you would probably want to know maybe, maybe the 5th grade words are just the lower end of their instructional range. Maybe they do have some more instructional range. Maybe it wouldn't be frustration until like 7th or 8th grade. But for this, you've at least found part of their instructional range. So that's the first step. Okay, so think about what we've done. QRI 5 started 2 levels back, gave them word lists until we found their instructional level. Okay, good job so far. So that's the easy part. The word lists help us figure out what passage to start with, because we really want to know with any reader, not just how they sound out words, especially if they're in a random list, but we want to know if they can make sense of what they read, right? So we have to start to get to their comprehension. We have to start to get to when students read a text, do they understand the kinds of things that they're reading? Are they making meaning? That's what's most important for any reader, okay? So in our 5th grade student example here, read the 3rd grade words, great. Read the 4th grade words, great. Read the 5th grade words at an instructional level. Again, it's not a bad thing. He's a 5th grader, no problem. So that means we start with a passage at level 5, okay? We start with the instructional level that you found in the word list. Start with that in the passage. Now, if you look on page 99, like the good students you are that I just told you should do, you'll see that there are